welcome to another episode of Stockport Grammar School Talks Sport. Today's guest is an old Stopfordian who has gone through the journey at Stockport Grammar School, but he's gone on to do absolutely amazing things, which we're all very proud of him, and he's gone on to compete for Great Britain in the Olympics. So welcome to Stockport Grammar School Talks Sport, Ross Millington.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
No, thank you so much for your time. So we'll start with the first question. And the first question to the listeners is to give a little bit about your background and your journey to where you are today.
Yeah, so basically my journey started very much at Stockport Grammar. So I started at Stockport Grammar in 2001, I think. Before that, the only thing I'd really been doing was playing football and stuff. And I hadn't really played any other sports, maybe played a little bit of tennis, but nothing formal. And then obviously going to Stockport Grammar, started with everything really, rugby, and that was my first introduction to running really as well, doing the cross country and the athletics there. And it was pretty apparent straight away really off the bat that I was going to be a good runner. And I think within my first school year, I'd already sort of joined Stockport Harriers, and I was able to join a fantastic group down there we were coached by a guy named Dave Turnbull, who's an absolutely fantastic coach, and I couldn't have asked for anyone better to sort of start my athletic career with. And then progressed sort of through my school years. Every year sort of got a little bit more serious, and as the results sort of improved year on year, I was able to run at the English schools multiple times. I was running obviously for school and for Stockport Harriers. And then sort of probably 15, 16 was when I was sort of starting to get a few England vests at that time. And so things were really progressing well. And then after sort of college time was when I was deciding where to go to university, which would obviously be the next sort of major step in trying to bridge that gap from junior level to senior level. So I knew it was going to be quite a big and important decision to make. And I ended up going out to America and running in the NCAA system out there. Because at that time, there weren't many Brits that were sort of doing that. I think there was only, especially from like an undergraduate. So there was a few guys that would go to university over here and then go to America for 2 years. But I was kind of looking at that system and the athletes it was producing, and I thought, I need to be there. That's where I want to go to really develop and progress and bridge that gap towards being a good senior athlete. So I was able to get a full scholarship out to America. I was there, I think, nearly 5 years in the end. Had a fantastic time. I learned a lot, progressed a lot as an individual and as an athlete. And I think it really equipped me with tools that I'm able to use today. And then coming back from America it was sort of a bit of a tough transition, because like I'm a big dreamer, and like when you see athletes leaving the NCAA, it's like you sign that big pro contract and you start making loads of money and you're part of a professional team. But unfortunately, my last sort of 2 years to 18 months in America, I was injured, and so I didn't have those results behind me for anybody really to want to sign me. And for any group to sort of want me. So I came home. I was back living in sunny Stockport, sort of training with my old group again. But I was, so really fortunate in that my current coach, who'd been coaching me for a few years in America, he'd started working for New Balance, the shoe company. So that was around 2014 where we actually sort of started a professional group based on that sort of American system. We started it here in Stockport. So I was so fortunate that I was able to come home and almost step straight into that sort of environment. And then that's the environment I've been in ever since sort of the end of 2013, early 2014, being a professional athlete in this setup. And yeah, it's been an incredible journey. I've been able to travel all around the world, seen some really cool places, met some brilliant people, and yeah, I hope it can continue for the next few years at least.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. That was good. No, that was an amazing journey, actually. And just touching upon, obviously, you went from Stockport Grammar School to college, and then you took that big leap to go to America. And that there for an 18-year-old boy is quite a big thing to do. And you said it equipped you with a lot of tools. What sort of tools did that actually equip you with to go and take that gamble?
Yeah, so I think looking back now in hindsight, it was quite a big step and a big, quite a big deal to do at that age. But back then, that it didn't really occur to me. I think it occurred to my mum and my dad. But I don't know. I was so I don't know. I was just so focused and so driven, and I was so convinced in myself that that's what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And then obviously when you're going over, to America at that age, I mean, you're well looked after, but you do have to, you have to grow up pretty fast. And, I think I only spent my first semester in Hull, sort of living on campus. And then after that, I was living off campus. So, I was having to manage sort of paying rent and paying bills and all that sort of stuff, which at 18, 19 is, you're learning that sort of stuff fairly early, I think, compared to normally being in university halls and stuff. And then it's just a lot of sort of time management. You're planning all your classes, and you have set training every day, so that you've got these hours where you're going to be training, and then I know I've either got to get back and get some food and then go to class, and then I've got assignments to do, and just a lot of sort of learning and planning and doing all that, and then learning to sort of just mature and grow up and look after yourself, but then also starting to be, because in America you are part of a team, which in an individual sport is it's kind of interesting. So balancing all of that and learning how to deal with teammates and coaches, and like I made the decision after probably 2 years out there that the coach at the school was a fantastic coach, but I knew I needed someone who understood me a little bit more, and that's where Steve Vernon I was speaking to him. He was still at home, and I ended up making the decision where Steve started to coach me when I was in America, which was kind of a different situation, not a normal situation, but we made that work. And just growing up basically.
Yeah, and in terms of the culture, obviously America obviously quite similar culture, but still different in ways as well. How did you deal with that?
I enjoyed it. I just embraced it, really. So the school I went to is in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is it's not your typical American sort of city either. So I think that kind of helped though, because it's kind of quite quirky, but it has like great sports heritage. Like, when I was there, like Paula Radcliffe would be training there and stuff, and obviously I'd done my research before I went out, and I knew it was a good place to be there for training and for running. So yeah, I just embraced everything, like having American teammates, and everybody take the mick out of my accent, and I just really enjoyed it. I just went with a really open mind, and obviously you miss home, but I tried to focus on where I was at that time, and at that time I was in America. So, yeah.
And then what we're talking a little bit about on this podcast is about high performance and high performance mindset. What does high performance mean to you?
I think it's just trying to do something to the best of your ability. Sort of no matter what that is, I guess, whether it's sporting or in the classroom or something else. It's just having that mindset of not just doing it on a whim, or yeah, I'll do this today, but not tomorrow, and then yeah, it's just having that just self-belief to do it to the absolute best of your ability. And then if you're in a team, then it's hopefully other people are buying into that, and then that whole environment and culture starts to become high performance if you're all working towards the same goal.
Yeah, no, good. And it's that consistency, isn't it? Trying to be that best version of yourself.
Yeah, it's not just
Day.
it's not just one day. It's sort of you got to go one day, the next day, weeks, months, years for if you want to achieve big things, then definitely consistency is key.
And then in terms of you've had role models in your life and people who've influenced you. Does anyone in particular stand out for you who've influenced you, and why?
I think my parents, for a kick-off, like they were always, they just let me do what I needed to do. They never sort of, they didn't try to force me down one route. Obviously, going to America, they didn't sort of hold me. I'm sure it was difficult for them to see me leave, but they understood that's what I wanted to do. So they've always been 100% behind me, regardless, and I can't thank them enough. And then I'd say my coaches, like I mentioned, Dave Turnbull, my first coach down at Stockport Harriers, who was, like he just had a bunch of unruly kids that he had to manage on however many days a week it was down at Woodbank Park, and he really ingrained that sort of. It was a high work ethic sort of thing, but we had good fun, but we knew, there was always like that switch of like, right now it's time to work hard, and I think that sort of progressed a lot as I got older. Dave was really, really good with that. And then obviously my current coach, Steve Vernon, he's my running coach. He's my life coach as well. We've been through a lot together, and he's really guided my senior career from 2010 to this day. So yeah, I owe a lot to him, and I'm extremely thankful for those people.
No, good. And then in your career and your journey, you've had ups and downs, and setbacks happen. What's been your biggest setback professionally, and what did you do to overcome that?
God, I think I've got quite a few to pick from. Usually it's, I've had my fair share of injuries over the years, which is, it's always difficult because they always come, well, there's never a good time to get injured, but, like 2016, I'd made the Olympics. I'd sort of made a big step up in my career, and sort of going into that winter, I was trying to. I'd been to the Olympics. I'd got to this level, and then I was trying to go even higher again. And I just, I think I maybe was wanting it a bit too much and pushing a bit too hard. And then 2017, I ended up, I tore a tendon in my knee, which, was coming off the back of the Olympics. The World Championships that year were in London, so it would have been a home World Championships, and I just wanted it too much, really, and I was pushing too much, and I ended up getting this injury in my knee, and it took a long time to sort of diagnose and figure out, and then I don't think I ran for 6 to 9 months after that. So that was really tough, because then it meant the next year I couldn't qualify for the Commonwealth Games, which were in Australia in 2018. And then, it took me most of 2018 again, really, to sort of get back to a decent level. So that was disappointing after, like I say, after 2016 making the Olympics and thinking, right, I'm getting to where I've always wanted to be, and then straight away you kind of kicked back down to earth, and you got to work your way back up again. So that was tough. But like I say, I've had a few injuries that are always tough to get back from.
And what did you do? So when you got that setback, so to get back, what did you do to get your mind back on track? And
well, initially it was really difficult, because, like I say, we didn't really know what was going on. So I kept thinking short term, like, I'm going to be back for the end of the track season, and then that didn't happen. And then oh, I'm going to be back for cross country, and then that didn't happen. So I guess you always do start to set small goals,
Yeah.
and even if they do get knocked back, it's those small goals and small stepping stones that kind of keep you in the game, sort of thing, so to speak. And you just keep thinking, right, if I can get to this step, if I can get back to being able to cross train, it would be the first step, getting back from an injury, and then progression in the cross train, and whether that's you have to be in the pool aqua jogging or on the bike, and it's just keeping those stepping stones and keeping trying not to think too long term, which is I think a mistake that we make too often. You have to have that big goal sort of hanging around in the background, but it's much better to focus on sort of the process. That's what we kind of preach at the minute is, focus on the process and have that sort of goal orientation, which I think when you're injured and trying to come back is even more important.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's that step by step, isn't it? Approach.
Yeah. Yeah, day by day.
And I guess a lot of the students listening, they probably relate, and especially you at this time as well. Obviously, Tokyo Olympics, we're unsure if it's going to go ahead. GCSEs, A levels, the students are in a situation with IGCSE, it's going ahead, it's not going ahead, we don't know. What advice have you got, I guess, from yourself, for your point of view in the Olympics, but the pupils as well in terms of the exams?
Yeah, it's literally being like not sort of closing it off and not thinking about it, but like you literally just have to focus on what you're doing right now. And it is literally sometimes you just go day by day. Like there'll be days when you wake up and you literally just have to think, right, how am I going to get the best out of this day? Like don't think about yesterday, don't think about tomorrow. Like I know this is my end goal and I know that, and it might happen or it might not happen, but as of right now, today, what am I going to do that is going to get me towards there? And then you just kind of keep trying to do that, and it's just keeping motivated, really. I mean, it is hard, and some people really struggle with it. Some people don't. Some people don't really. They'll have a knockback and it'll just be no. Just carry on, keep going. Other people, it takes. They have to. It'll take them a while to sort of figure things out and get back to what they want to be doing. Yeah, it sounds easy. It's so easy to sort of say, but it's it's figuring out what works for you as well, motivation wise, and then just trying to stick to it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And what I've been saying to a lot of the pupils and parents at parent teams last week actually was saying, just like I say, you take each day as it comes, but try and control the controllables. If you can't control it, it's not in your control. Don't waste time on that. Don't waste it. And if there's no exams happening, just actually think about, right, let's look at the process and do it because we want to learn and we want to do the process of learning rather than doing it just for the exam.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's important. Good. On the flip side, you've had amazing accomplishments and a fantastic career to date, and it's going to get better. What are you most proud of out of all of those, and why?
Obviously, making the Olympics would probably be number one. Like it's outside of winning an Olympic medal or winning Olympics outright, it's something I'd aspired to since I don't know. Since I'd started running, really, since things had started getting serious, and that was always my sort of my dream, my big dream. And I probably don't think there's many other people that thought I'd be able to do it, but the ones that did were the ones that mattered to me. And making that Olympic team was huge for me. And then also 2011, I think, was the European Under-23 Championships on the track. I won silver medal over 5,000 meters. That was quite a big deal for me because I'd been in America, and for some reason, when you come back home to the UK, everyone's kind of, I don't know, has this sort of chip on the shoulder about people that have been in America and like, oh, you can't come home and run well and all this sort of thing. And, I was in really good shape, and I'd actually not run very well at the NCAA championships that year. And so I came home with a real point to prove, and I won the British Championships, like in like dominated it. And then I went to European under 23s and sort of, yeah, I think I lost by hundredths of a second, but that was a really proud day because my mum and dad were there, and I got to go on the podium and all that sort of thing, and that was a really proud moment.
Yeah. What was when you were on the podium? What was going through your head?
That I really wanted to have won. I remember looking up at it was a Norwegian guy, and the Norwegian anthem started playing, and I was just like, oh, I wish this was God Save the Queen right now, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was still a proud moment. I really enjoyed it, and it was that was the first sort of process of going through a real major championships, and I was really happy that I'd come out of it really well.
Oh, brilliant. And then in terms of the Olympics, obviously you went there and competed there. What was that like as a boy from Stockport going all the way to the Olympics?
Yeah, it was incredible. So I'd basically that year I'd won the British Championships, but I still didn't have the qualifying time. And I had one because 10,000 meters on the track, it's not really an event. You can, if you don't get the time one week, you can't really just do one the next week and then try again the next week. They take a lot out of you, so you really have to plan. And
Yeah.
so I went to a meet in Holland, and I had, one opportunity really to get that time, and I managed to do it. Again, going back to the process in that race, the only thing I thought about was getting to 5,000 meters, so halfway in. So I had to run under 28 minutes. So my only thought process in that race was getting to halfway in 14 minutes. Like anything outside of that, I hadn't thought about.
Yeah.
Like that was literally it, and I did it, and I remember it feeling quite easy. And I looked over at my coach Steve, and I was, giving him thumbs up. I was like, this is on, and I managed to do it. And then yeah, everything after that was a bit of a sort of a whirlwind because then I ended up going up to the Pyrenees in France for altitude camp, and all of a sudden I'm on the track with Mo Farah and all these guys, and it was sort of, yeah, even in the call room beforehand, I was with guys that I'd sort of looked up to, and I'd looked up to for years and always wanted to be on that level, and then all of a sudden I was stood under the Olympic Stadium with them all, pinning on numbers on and stuff, and yeah, I remember having that moment, sort of laughing to myself and trying to take it all in, and yeah, it was just an incredible experience. So it's difficult because when you're there, you don't want to just be there. Like I didn't want to just be there to sort of make up numbers. I still wanted to go there and really, really perform, which unfortunately I didn't really have the performance that I wanted, but I still came away with great experience, and yeah, I enjoyed every minute of it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that's really, really important as well. Some people forget to do that, don't they, when they're in the moment, not really enjoying it and not having
Yeah.
to reflect.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was important for me because it was such a big achievement for me, and obviously nobody expected me to go there and win a medal, which might sound sort of negative, but I had to take the positives that I'd sort of made that step up that year, and
Mm.
I had to remember and think about all the sort of hard work and everything that had gone into getting there, and yeah, make sure I did sort of take things in, because a lot of people have said, like, make sure you do that, because before you know it, it'll all be over and you'll be sat on the plane home thinking, oh, what the hell just happened there?
Yeah. What are Ross Millington's 3 non-negotiable behaviours that you'd expect from yourself or anybody else you come into contact with?
Honesty, high work ethic, and I'd say good manners, being respectful.
What are your memories of Stockport Grammar School? Does any memories stick out in your head that has remained with you for the rest of your life?
Oh, I have great memories. I loved obviously I loved the sport. I loved the amount of time that was given to that. I just remember having a great time.
Yeah,
I was never. I was okay in the classroom, but it was always that, the sort of the PE and the games that I really loved, and that's what, yeah, sort of bred that real love for sport, and just how supportive everyone was. The teachers, obviously the PE staff were incredible, and sort of every year when my journey was getting better and better, everyone was more understanding of, because by the time I was leaving, I had a lot of commitments sort of outside of school, athletic wise, and everyone was really understanding. And even teachers outside of the PE staff, they'd be really understanding of what I was trying to do and what commitments I had. And yeah, I just had a great time. I just really enjoyed it.
yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
If you had a message to say to anyone who's considering coming to Stockport, what would you say to them?
Do it. Yeah, just I know. Yeah, I love the sports side of things, so I'm always going to be really biased. But I just love how much sort of attention is given to that, because it's not just the sport as in the performance. I think it's what sport teaches young pupils, you know, across all aspects of life. They're being part of the team and everything, being self-accountable. There's so much that then sort of just the transferable skills across all aspects of life, and I don't think there is really any substitute for that. Especially though at that age, it can be really character building.
Yeah. No, good. And then if Ross Millington could go back to being 12 years of age again at Stockport Grammar, what advice would you give yourself, knowing what you know now?
I think I think at that age, it's not that you think you know it all, but I think just be really open to, so sort of make sure, be teachable and be coachable, and just, I don't know. I don't think I'd change anything. So I think I'd do, if I was to do it all again, I think I'd do it pretty much the same. But yeah, just be positive. And I think self belief as well for kids of that age is massive. Don't, if you think you can do something, don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. Because I think if I'd let that happen, I don't think I'd be where I am now, sort of thing. I always believe that I could achieve the things that I have done, and I still think I can achieve more. And yeah, there's important people in my life that I need to buy into that. But
Yeah.
a lot of, I don't listen to a lot of what other people tell me, because if I did, I don't think I'd be running anymore. So yeah, being open, be teachable, be coachable. Keep learning. Don't ever think that you know it all, no matter how good you are. And ask questions as well. I think I was always not kind of bordering on shy. I was a bit of an introvert. I'd never sort of voice my opinions at that age. I was always just sort of in the background. But I think, ask questions. If, doing things like this is fantastic, because you get to hear, from loads of different people. But if you're ever in those positions where, if someone's coming into school or coming into a club to do a talk, make sure you're asking them questions afterwards. And I think I love writing things down as well. Like, I always have notebooks, and I have written training diaries from, I think, 2006, 2005. That was one thing Dave Turnbull encouraged us to do, which I think is a really great tool. And yeah, I think that'll be it for me.
Good. And then what is next for Ross Millington? What is left to achieve? What do you want to do next?
I certainly want to try and make the Olympic team again this year. That'll be a big thing. And then, yeah, going forward, I just want to try and make more teams, really. And then eventually, I think I'll be try and sort of have some sort of marathon career as well.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
So,
I had my first attempt in October, which didn't go very well. So
okay.
yeah, I'll be getting back at it soon, I think.